Here we go. Monday, Monday, Monday.
It is Monday again. Welcome back to another Monday Mindful Nugget podcast where tonight we're going to talk about identifying the gap. But before we do that, welcome back, Mr. William. Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
It's good to see you. I know
It's
it's been a
flash.
week, but it
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
feel like it's been a week.
it's like Flash Gordon. It's just boom, boom.
It
Here
is.
it is.
That is so true. So true. Well, welcome back, everybody, to the Mindful Nuggets podcast. We're so grateful you're here with us tonight. We know we're just a few minutes late, but we had some things we wanted to talk about before we came out here tonight. Because guess what? We want to discuss them with you as well. So, uh, tonight, we are going to be talking about identifying the gap. So, what does that even mean? Let
It's
me
not the
help you
clothes.
see this. Yeah, we're gonna help you see this process through. Okay, so maybe you're the one who says, "I'm busy." Oh, I totally get that. But you never feel like you're actually caught up, right? And you don't have time to be still. Ooh, didn't we just talk about that last week about sitting still and, finding
Yeah,
that,
that is very highly important.
right,
That's
right.
we
And,
need pause. We need
you know,
pauses.
and it's not a time issue, right? And it's it's an
Well, we all have the
intimacy.
same amount
We
of
need to
time,
talk
don't we?
about that. We need to talk about the intimacy of this, okay? We've got to talk about that. So, mental note, intimacy tonight. But we've lost a connection somewhere. So, Mr. William, what is the gap? What are we talking about tonight for everybody?
Well, the gap can mean many things. It's really where you at and where you want to go and what's in between that's stopping you from getting there. So that officially is really a definition of the gap. All right. And for most of us, that we need to be shown how to get across or under through the valley, wherever it is that's creating the gap, and somebody to lead us over there and show us the way on it. Most of us will go to seminars, we'll read, we'll learn, listen to audio, hopefully find a mentor. But really, it is what do you really want out of this life, and are you going to get alignment to be able to get over to the other side? And at the other side is you need a clear definition of what it is that you want to see over there. And a lot of times we want to go have all these different things, but it's not clear enough to fill the gap. So does that make sense? Or, clear as mud
No,
or
no,
what?
that makes sense. I mean, to me, it does, of course, because we've discussed this so many times, and we've been in the gap, and we help each other to see where that gap is. But for many people out here in business today, um, they don't realize what the gap is. They don't even realize there is a gap. So
Well,
I
yeah,
think that we should,
we talked a lot about drift
we
and
have,
drift. Yeah, we talked about a lot of drift. So you got drift and you got gap. A lot of times a drift will create a gap also in
yeah.
your life, and then you don't recognize it until you get too far down. You got to get back up to where you were and fill that gap. It could be relationship, it could be in business, it could be anything that is human related. That there is something that you feel is off in you, and you're wondering what it is, and you're trying to find that fulfillment in order to get you where you would like to be, whatever that
We fill
is.
it with a lot of noise, typically, is what we fill it with.
Well, we confuse activity. We
Mm-hmm.
feel our time schedule. You were talking about time intimacy. That's something that I like to talk about a lot. And people say, what do you mean time intimacy? Well, you're not intimate with time.
That's
All right?
exactly
Time
right.
is a relationship, and it's how you spend it. And intimacy is what you're familiar with. All right. Well, when you're saying that you want this, but I have no time, well, then you need to look how that time is being spent, how it's
Mm-hmm.
being invested or not invested in it, because it's to me, time is equity. You have a certain amount of it, and that's it. It's not replaceable. You can replace money, you can replace most anything on this planet. You can't replace your time.
That is absolutely true. That's absolutely true. And that
So,
is where we lose track of, what is, like you just said, what's being productive, what's not being productive. Are you sitting down and actually tracking your time. I mean, it's a great opportunity right now. Grab a piece of paper and put on there, track my time, and start writing down what you
Well,
do, when you do it, and then go back over it and reflect. But you know what? We're gonna talk about that. So go grab your piece of paper right now, everyone. Grab your pen and pencil. We'll talk about that here in just a few moments. Okay, so let's talk about, we just said we fill it with activity. We fill it by chasing, certain things or performance or control. Control's a big one.
yeah, we'll get to control here in a little bit because
All right.
really that's a trust, that's a major trust issue.
It
The
is a
more you
trust
feel like you
issue.
got control, the further you're away from having trust. And not many people realize that because it's only security. Control usually brings what people think is stability and security, but most of the time you're trying to control something that's probably not controllable or within your scope to be able to control. And it's
Absolutely
really
true.
not our
Okay.
job. It's not our job to control. It's to steward. And there's a big difference. Stewardship's a big difference from controlling. And that's trust. We'll get to that in a minute.
Okay. All right. So we're going to talk about control in a little bit. So put that on your paper, and we're going to talk about time intimacy. So put that down as well. These are the two things we'll
Well,
talk about later. So let's get back to the
yeah,
drill.
let's go
Okay.
time into me. Let
Yep.
me ask everybody, what's the first thing you do in the morning? Are
The
you
first thing I
scrolling? Are
do
you
in the
looking at
morning
social
is
media?
spend time with God, but not everybody does that.
No, not everybody does that, but that's for me that's the same because that's where I get my peace and alignment.
Yep.
Basically, my mission for the day are declarations of the day and what I would like to see or what God wants me to fulfill either way. But I want my morning to wake up and be filled with peace.
That's exactly mine. It has to be in the morning where I don't even touch my phone in the morning anymore.
No,
It
I don't
has
either.
not become a part of me like it used to be when I would wake up in the morning. That was the first thing, grab that phone, and see,
Well,
okay, what
yeah,
do I
it's a
need to deal with
tendency.
today?
That's a tendency. That's activity.
That's
That's
activity.
all right, and it's actually saying, "World, my doors are open. Tell me what you want, and I'll go do it." Because that's exactly what it is.
Instead
You go
of
checking.
taking that peaceful moment in
Yeah.
time, be in gratitude for the fact that you even woke up. Let's just talk about that. Many people take for granted the fact that they were able to wake up and not be at some type of gratitude with that. So for
Well,
many
we
of us,
both
like you and
respect
I,
that one for
why
sure.
I greatly,
Yeah.
you as well, we respect that because we know that he can take it just like that.
Yeah.
So with that being said, my morning has to be filled with the peace, and he brings peace within me. And not only that, but when I ask, he tells me what I need to do in the day, what I need to get accomplished in the day.
It's connection. It's connection with something more powerful, a higher power,
Absolutely.
and it's leading. It's right in the right connection, making the right alignment with him because he has plans for you, whether you know that or not, whether you accept that or not. But there are plans for you. And most of the time, you don't fulfill those plans, whether you realize it or not either on it. And I've seen both cases. But the thing is, if you want something to fill the gap, you need to find out what the plan is. You need to be with him first and then get your marching orders basically and get an alignment call and let's get busy then after that. But if you're out running around, the the left hand of the equation is being left out because you're not creating anything. You're not working off a vision. You're not working in his purpose or even your purpose. It's just random chaos, and you're
Right.
allowing the world to dictate how you start the morning. And when you lose the morning, you lose the day
Ooh,
more than
that's
likely.
so true. That is so, so true. You lose your morning, you lose your day. Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's talk
So
about the fact that we also, when we are not aligned, which is what we're talking about, not being aligned in the, throughout the morning time of our day, getting it in the proper way we need it. But also, if, the gap, other side of that is where are you in your business that you could be filling that gap, that you could be providing to that gap? Because there's
well,
always, I mean, like myself, I know that there's a gap in what I do. I know there's a gap that I can fill in somebody.
Well, leadership usually fills the gap for one. If you have a mission, a vision, and what the objective is clear. Clarity is huge. Out of everything, you need to be clear on what you're wanting, and you need to work backwards on how to get there and fill that in. That's kind of filling the gap. A lot of times we need guidance and direction with that. Even the best of us have good mentors and leaders. They surround themselves with leaders. And the purpose is we can't think of everything, and we should never lean on our own understanding
That's
because
right.
it will lead you being lost and missing the mark a lot of times. I mean, a lot of times I'll give you a good example. What earlier on in my businesses I was running, I would always start leading the business, but I get pulled back into the business, meaning that I was trying multiple roles. Most of us wear different hats: CEO, COO, everything to repairman, even all the way down to cranking a wrench, which I did. But when you step away from the leading of the business out of the vision, you come into the doing of the business, you've lost the business because it's no longer going to grow.
That's right.
It's it's going to be you're going to get consumed, overwhelmed, and capitulate at some point. It's on you or business or both, and you'll lose it.
Where are you being the business versus doing the business?
Right. And so it is it's very constructive to say, okay, well, time intimacy. This is what we get to do. Now, there's going to be things that flare up, but you got to listen. You got to understand: is that noise that's distracting you to pull you away from the mission? Is it absolutely critical? How do I prioritize what is important? That's going to get me to the goal. So it
Yeah.
becomes a checkbox. Like for me, it's like, all right, this is what I need, what I want to happen, what God planned for me. All right, all that I'm checking. I'm conscious about that. So what is it that I'm working on? I think about this night before, I write it down of what it is that needs to get accomplished and does it move the needle to get me to where I want to go?
That's exactly
It's,
right. You should be
yeah,
sitting down and planning out what actually is action into income, profit, getting you to the next place that
right.
you actually want to
It
go.
could be it could be anything. It doesn't have to be money. It could be just getting your
Absolutely.
time back.
Yeah,
It's simple as that. It's something that is important enough that you're going to have to stewardship, get intimate with your time, and be intentional in how you spend it or invest it or amplify it even better because
I mean,
you
you
can
have to
make
ask yourself,
moves.
what is this costing me for not being in an aligned position? However you want to look at it. For me, if I am not in my morning, if I by chance something steps in the path, and I get we all need to be flexible, I'm not willing in the morning to give up my time with him. That is a non-negotiable with me. Now, by chance, if something disrupts my morning, my day just doesn't go right. And I have to bring myself back and ask myself these questions. What did this just cost me? So, what can the gap cost you, William?
It can cost you everything. It can cost you
Amen.
little. The biggest thing is what it costs you. Do you even realize it's costing you?
Exactly.
How much time's getting chewed up? How much is coming away from your family that you're not investing in them?
Your
You need to have intimacy
relationship.
there, and whether you're married or not, have children or not. But I'm sure there's people that you're close to that matter. All right, and we're in the people business. Without people, there is no business.
That's very true. That's
Okay,
very true.
so, and I don't care what you're in. It's a matter of currency. If a connection has to happen in order for the connection to build the trust, and trust allows the currency to flow, which is current. Okay, so that's got to be built, and it's not business only. It's in marriage, it's
It's
in
everything.
friendship,
It's
it's in a
relationships,
partnership.
business relationships,
Yeah, and
friendship.
so what does it cost you? More importantly, what does it cost the other people around you?
Exactly.
And
What does
they're
it cost
paying for your
everybody
bill
else?
as well
Yeah.
on it. So it really becomes, am I aware and intimate in time? Okay. So going back to my checklist the night before, well, all right, I write that down. My intention is to knock them out.
Right.
Right? Just knock it
Exactly.
out. All right. And I go for the hardest first. The one that I know is may take the most time or the most mental equity or the most courage to face. That's gonna stretch me beyond what I know or what I feel comfortable with. In which I know if I'm working on that, then I'm pretty sure that I'm moving the ego on the way it needs to go on it because I'm stepping out of the comfort zone, stepping out of my pattern
Right.
that I'm used to. And that can be a lot of busyness and not yield any fruit. And so what does it cost? Well, that's another day lost. That's another movement that didn't gain anything. That's a severed relationship because I didn't pay attention to something else. And all these things are going to be measured. Well, what does it cost me to go this direction? Well, if it was me and I'm building a business or I'm building a building, I think I would sit down first and understand what it's going to cost me to build it before I even dig dirt to break ground on it because something's going to have to give, something's going to have to pay. Uh, for that focus time to build a business, especially, can take up 3 to 5 years of intensity, high intensity, especially if it's a startup, high demand of your time. Well, is your partner aligned with that? Your children understand what's going on, or you just don't leap and go in and your cost is going to be high. That also is going to bring in trust issues too.
I was going to say let's move into our trust side of this
Mhm.
as we're talking about, the confidence factor, the control is what we were discussing, control. Because here's what happens. You dive in, you didn't think about all these other entities around you that are affected by what you do because you are trying to be in control of what's actually taking place. And bottom line is, I had to learn the hard way. I know you did too. We don't control anything. We control nothing.
I
He
prefer not to
controls
control anything.
everything.
I don't want to control anything at all.
Yeah,
It's not my job,
yeah.
not at
But we
all.
learned the hard way, and that's why we're
Mhm.
here tonight to help people understand. We don't want you to learn the hard way. We want you to
And now
realize.
please don't confuse control and boundaries, okay?
Exactly, exactly.
Because boundaries are very necessary. That's what protects your time. It's like in the morning, like Michelle was talking about, which she spends time with God, so do I. Even before my foot hits the ground, I'm
That's
talking
right.
to him. And just sitting there in the moment in peace and tranquility. Well, that's boundary. I'm not picking up the phone. I got the ringer off. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to talk to anybody for at least 5 to 10 minutes because that's my time and his time, and we're just at peace. Now I already know what I've got from the night before, and I'm already primed, and I'm already getting alignment. Is this what we're going to work with or not? And what are my key objectives to hit? And it's anything. Again, it doesn't have to be business related. It can be, I'm going to take my wife out. We're going to go get breakfast this morning. I'm going to sit there and I'm going to read 30 minutes. I'm going to go take my kid and we're going to do something. Or I'm going to go into a board meeting and we're going to knock this out, whatever it is. But we get our priorities straight and what's going to happen. Now, things are, again, are going to flare up, move around, and to be flexible is important, but you got to understand what am I going to allow in that?
Okay, let's talk about how you said being flexible. Yes. There is a way that you should be flexible and capable of having that flexion.
Right.
But you still need to be time intimate with
Does
that.
it align?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, that's the question you need to ask. Well, if I'm not doing this and I need to do this, does it still align to what it is that you're trying to get the gap filled and go across? Okay, we're still talking about gaps because
Right.
really the gaps are two things. One, you're on a squirrel cage running around, you don't know you're running around, and you're burning up a lot of time and energy and hoping that you feel
And
and jump
hoping,
across
right.
this gap.
Hoping.
Okay. And I'm telling you, if you're doing that, you need to get a mentor that can help lead you, get you off that squirrel cage and get you directed over to here. This is where you need to go, and this is the actions that you need to take, and this is the planning behind it to execute. All right. So that's one. And the other, again, the reason why you need a mentor is because you don't know how to do it. You haven't been shown. The
We all step
fastest
into
way,
business thinking we know exactly what
we
we're going
don't,
to
most of us
do, how
don't,
we're
and
going
we're
to
not
do
taught.
it.
And
We're
it's,
not taught. We're not
well,
taught.
like nursing, Michelle, when you went to school to become a nurse and then you actually hit the floor, I bet that's only a small person, even in the clinicals, there's only a small percentage. Once you hit the floor, there's a big difference. That's a
Huge
gap.
difference.
That's a gap. All right.
Huge,
In
yeah.
order to close that gap, what had to happen?
I had to step into some mentorship on the floor. And let me tell you, that's not
Somebody took you, right, exactly what
absolute.
the point, that's what the point is. Engineers, doctors, everybody's, the lawyers, all of them have to have somebody to show them they have the knowledge, but they don't have the real world application yet or the experience to feel confident in where they're at and be able to move forward. Even then, to go to the next level, you need somebody that's been there. That's why I talk about you really look for the ones that have earned the scars that are healed from them that can help you avoid some of those scars, but
Absolutely.
also help you heal from them as well. Because you have to go
Absolutely.
through it. You spend so much time trying to figure out a way to go around
Oh,
things
do
that
we
you
ever? That's
should
because we
need
want
to.
convenience. We want the
Yeah.
convenience of how
Well,
can I do this quickly and just move on?
that's one. Yeah, it's immediate gratification, which nothing will ever last going that way.
Mm.
It's like getting a shot in the arm and it wears off, even if it works. The thing is, you really have to have that guidance, that lamp that lights the way, that already has the path, and you can follow and teach. And then you got the big thing is now trust, because we talked about control. The lower the trust, the higher the control. If you think about it, how much are you trying to control, and how much stress level, which is proportionate to control it.
Absolutely.
All right. So if you're trying to control this much, your stress level, I'm pretty sure it's going to be way up here, and the trust is way down here. Why is that?
Of course it is. Of
Yeah.
course it
So
is.
the
Because you're
big
not
question
willing to
is,
give. You're not willing to give in to actually put yourself in a position to learn. Put yourself outside that box for just a little bit so that you can, possibly step in, to what you need to actually know. There's that gap that you're trying to fill that, you're not wanting to step into.
right,
I
most of us
know.
don't trust because the world teaches you not to trust. You get your
Oh,
face kicked in, you get
absolutely.
hurt badly, relationships horrible, and
Absolutely.
you don't want to trust. All right, here's the difference. Control started back with Adam in the garden when he disobeyed God and he actually bit the fruit. He allowed Eve to do it. Nothing happened when Eve bit because God didn't tell Eve not to consume the apple. But as soon as Adam bit, that was the first act of disobedience between man and God. And then when God cornered him, he said, I'm fearful, I'm nude, I'm naked. Well, how do you know he's naked? Because he had knowledge. He had no business knowing the knowledge because he wasn't ready for the knowledge. And a lot of times we get into positions, we think we know a lot of things, like I'm going to start a business or I'm going to jump into this. And we get some serious consequences that come from that. And a lot of us fail. A lot of us, in fact, we talked to several people who became homeless because they jumped into the fire and not know how to walk through the fire or on the fire on it. But that became a trust issue because we didn't want to trust somebody to help guide us. I can trust God 100% because He's never led me astray. In fact, I'm still alive because of Him. So is Michelle.
Amen. Amen.
So
Absolutely.
it's counterintuitive because you don't want to trust anybody, and it's hard to trust somebody that most people don't have a relationship with, i.e., God. But when you start building that relationship, you'll see that He is true to His promises. When you start realizing that He's got your best interest at heart in all things, you may not agree, you may not like, but as you look back, he has never been wrong. He's never let you down. I don't have a trust issue with him. Now I have trust. Because I have trust, guess what you get when you have trust with him? It requires obedience, but you have trust. There comes a fruit, and a fruit called peace. And that's how you see people growing through some fires in their life calmly and at peace. because they know they're going to get through this. They know there's a plan that's going to unfold. And because of that, they have the peace. Where everybody doesn't have peace is running around trying to control everything, and it's really burning you up. Does that make sense, Michelle?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And that's what we said in the very beginning too, was
So
we find our peace. Of course, we've been through this, which is why we're here to, explain to everyone what this is and why it is. And if you have not went back, everyone, and looked at the past, probably 4 or 5 episodes, we've been speaking on the drift, we've been speaking on the mask, the identity. And we've spent a couple of weeks on each one of those for you all. So please go check those out here at Mindful Nuggets, here at the podcast. Make sure you're subscribed so that
that's
you can
good.
always be notified as to when the episode is coming or when we're going to be here live.
We
Uh,
have a goal of 1,000 people
absolutely,
by the end of this
absolutely.
quarter, and we'd
We
love
would
for you to be
love to
one of
see you
them.
guys spread the word, share us out, leave us your feedback. That was what we would really love to have is your feedback.
We get feedback. We also feed forward from the feedback because,
Absolutely,
yeah, if you think about it, while we're on that for just a second, one of the things that we really don't want to hear is feedback. Most people don't want to hear, but it's the most important thing that you can get discernment from in order to adjust your course to help you fill the gap.
I was gonna say, isn't that part of us filling the gap? So that feedback is what helps us, to eliminate that gap and move us, spring us forward. That's what we're looking for, moving forward.
We
Here at
want to better
Mindful
serve
Nuggets,
you,
that's our job.
everybody out there. If we can actually bring something of value to you and it makes sense and it improves your life, then we did our job. That's what we're
Absolutely.
here for.
Exactly why we're here. So, for those individuals out here who are wondering what the next phase of life is going to be for you, and you've been maybe toying with, starting your own business or building some new relationships, or maybe you'd like to network, maybe you're single out here and you're trying to, build some of those relationships and move in some other directions. Maybe you just don't know where it is you want to go yet. Well, guess what? Here at Mindful Nuggets, that's where you want to be. Dive into some of our latest episodes and listen in. You'd be surprised. Some of our guests can actually be a very great help to you. So
Absolutely, yeah. You never know what when something is going to be said that's actually you may have heard it 1,000 times, but it may be your moment to hear that one thing that lands. It transforms your life, and that's a critical thing. That's why we should always be continue to listen and grow and feed our minds, our souls, our body, everything, and just keep moving in a forward direction and always working to fill a gap. And part of the gaps are blind spots too. They're actually keeping you from even seeing the gap. And that's another critical thing why you need somebody as an observer or a mentor or a coach to help you see certain things that you can't see. That's preventing you from walking across to get to the other side. So if you get anything out of this, you need a coach and a mentor that's aligned with where that is that you're wanting to go that help you get there. Just like a nurse helps a nurse, an engineer helps an engineer, a lawyer helps a lawyer, so forth. If you're a business owner, then you need to get a business owner that's done it to help you get across, and not tell you a bunch of sweet stuff either. That's willing to get like real with you and tell you the truth, whether it hurts or not. That's how you grow.
that's
So
absolutely true.
so
Absolutely true. So let's ask everybody,
flow.
where are they feeling the pressure right now? That's one of the questions that we need to ask. Where's that pressure at right now?
One of them may be simple as this. All right. Even if you have a business, it seems to be highly in flux right now. All right, and the market is shifting. There's a lot of fear out there because of the war, because of political uncertainty for real, and that's not just in the United States. And it's very very dynamic. Markets can't stand uncertainty, so it's fluctuating. Your money may be like 20% down from what it's worth just because of the market and the way conditioned it is. And, it may be something that is out there that you can actually fill the gap and get the revenue in order to not ease that type of pressure, but you're not seeing how to pivot to the market and reading the market. So that's a crucial gap for a lot of us business owners, is whereas your customers are in the gap, and the problem that you fulfill fulfill that gap for your customers. And once you connect those two, then you'll start seeing a revenue flow from that, because now they're in need. You develop the trust, which is important. I'm
Right.
telling you right now,
That
trust
is
is the
important. That trust is highly
most vital
important.
thing that you can build in a relationship, customer to owner, or salesman, rep, whatever you want, whoever you are out there. You got to build trust if you want it to last a long time, and if you want it to multiply.
That's the key word. If you want it to multiply, multiply.
And
You
it
need
happens
to have those
organically. But
relationships and they need to be able to trust and you need to be able to trust.
and it's hard even online. It's very difficult to establish trust because so much, there's so many things out there that are scam. You don't understand. You don't trust, or I don't trust, and it's hard to build that bridge on it. But once you build that bridge and you're consistent in how you are with people, meaning you're in alignment with your mouth, your words, your actions, your beliefs, everything is in sync, then you'll find that trust will be built. And it becomes the speed of trust then, because people will talk about it. So
So,
anyway, yeah, there's a lot of gaps to fill, but it's really something that's systematic that you break down. And you just got to look at it from a 10,000-foot level. Where am I? Where do I want to go? What's in the way? What's holding me back? What do I need? Who do I seek? Where do I go to find out how to get from point A to point B?
well,
And
and
do I
ask yourself
want
too,
that?
what are you trying to control? Are you trying to control money? Are you trying to control people? Are you trying to control the outcomes? These are all great questions. Like I said earlier, we were saying, where do you feel that pressure? Where is that really coming from? Let's do a quick self-assessment because that's really important so that you
Yep.
know where to go in filling that gap. Who can you grab a mentor? Who is the person that you resonate
Well,
with?
even you came to us, we'll be glad to sit down. We'll ask a bunch of questions. We
Absolutely.
ask great questions. We don't have all the answers by any means, but maybe asking the right questions will bring some clarity to where you are and where you need to go. Because many of us like to be somewhere, think we really want it, but it's not meant for us.
Exactly.
Or maybe we shouldn't be doing it because we're not ready for it, or it's the wrong thing.
Not the right timing.
Yeah. There's a lot of things like that that will impede you, because you'll start spending money, go to all these courses, or do these different seminars and things like that, and it's not truly what your purpose is for. It's out of
Absolutely.
alignment, so you're spinning your wheels too. So again, it's a matter. It's declaring what it is truly, what it is that you want out of life. Does it align with your purpose that you're built for? Does that sync? And are you in alignment? Words will kill you too. How you speak. Many of us don't see that.
That is absolutely true. Absolutely true. And that was a lot of things that, you and I realized a couple of years ago when we stepped into our leadership and we grabbed a mentor. We grabbed, the
Mm-hmm.
next step of realizing where our gap was and so forth. So
I can guarantee you the most successful people here all have mentors and
they,
coaches. Every
I
one of them.
mean,
Every one of them.
I'm trying to count. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think I got five right now that I'm, in a daily chat with. So,
But
again,
it's your inner
myself with
circle.
those. Yeah.
It's in the inner
It's
circle. That's
amazing the people that was in my life 2 years ago that's not in my life now.
another gap. Speaking of that, okay, it's the proximity factor. Are the people you hanging around creating the gap, or helping you get across the gap?
Exactly. Exactly. And that is something that you should really sit down and assess because 2 years ago, that was something that was very much so brought to my attention. And it's amazing, now who I don't, really have. I mean, it's not that they're not in my circle, they're just not in my inner circle where daily, you know, um, they're not filling my cup. And the
Mhm.
people that I have surrounded myself with are definitely people, that either refer me, recommend me, something of that nature, and I to them as well. It's very much reciprocated. So again, always, moving into that
It's nurturing. It's
stewardship, that
actually
stewardship.
nurturing, growing, and it's all moving in a forward positive direction for an outcome that benefits not only you, but others around you. In fact, it makes this place a better place. And that's really
Absolutely.
where the big check box needs to be. Am I creating a space around me that makes it better for the people around me? Am I turning on lights, giving them hope? All those things. Those are big check boxes for me and for Michelle as well. It's like, if I can make somebody's day, then, that's a big check box. Did I make a difference in somebody else's life? Did I have part of that? I'm not bragging about it, but if I was able to help somebody come out of the dark and become what they're meant to be, then that brings me joy, brings me happiness. Because we all get to benefit. We both grow from that. And it's a wonderful thing. And so there's a difference between transactional, is what I'm talking about, and transformational.
Yeah, there's
Mhm.
nothing more, heartwarming than getting a message like I got today, because everybody started, well, the first round, started their inflammation flush today, and I got a message right off the bat.
But hold up,
Breakfast.
hold up before you say about inflammation flush. You might want to tell them what it is
Yeah,
that.
okay. Yeah, I can tell everybody. So,
Yeah.
I have a 5-day inflammation flush program. It's a challenge actually for you. You get a complete grocery list. You get 5 days worth of breakfast, lunch, and dinner recipes. The grocery list is for you to go to the local farmers market and actually pick up all your food from your local farmer and grower. You don't have to, but that is my recommendation. Much more inexpensive at the farmer's market than at the grocery store right now. But the bottom line is that you're going to take the next 5 days. We start on Monday, we end on Friday. You have accountability in my VIP group, but you also get to remove that, chronic, inflammation that is keeping you sore, keeping you tired, keeping you fatigued, keeping your brain fogged, you
Okay,
know.
that's it right there.
Mhm.
See, time intimacy. Sometimes you got to come to a stop and you got to flush.
You do.
In order for you to have peak performance in your body, which achieves more amplified than it is slugging it out in the trenches without doing it. Michelle's a licensed nurse and a
Absolutely
nutritionist,
true.
and this is what she has her plate, her daily plate, and she does this. It helps people come back into true health. And I can tell you, if you're not stimulating your body, it's going to cost you. We were talking about cost earlier. All right, you are what you eat, literally.
When you're under a
There's
lot
a
of
lot of foods out
stress,
there that are really horrible for you, and if you don't
yeah.
know how to get results to improve your body performance, she's the one to talk to about it. It's just with your mind. I work with mind. I like neural pathways, developing neural pathways that actually work towards what I'm after and would help other people to get where they're after. Then you just getting stuck in our patterns and getting lost into hoping to get across that gap, but we can't see how to get across that to get to the other side. And
Which is
a
why I
lot of
call
it has
you,
to
because
do with alignment.
when I'm in that section of where I need to be, I call you and say, "Hey, I can't. I need
Well,
to get out of
it's
this part. Where do we go
it's
from here?"
alignment. It really is. It's
It
100%
is.
alignment, and it's trust and trust in Him. And it's not trusting the world. Okay,
That's right.
there's a huge difference. But trusting in Him, I trust Him implicitly. I'm alive because of Him, where I should be dead.
Amen.
Okay,
Amen. That's
so that
absolutely
gets
true.
my trust very quickly because he didn't harm me. I harmed myself, but He brought me back to life. And so I learned my lesson big time from that. And I also learned my lesson about time intimacy and about control. We don't know we're trying to control things until you wake up and figure it out that stress, again, is proportionate to control. The more you're trying to control, the more stress you're going to have, the less peace you're going to have. And guess what? It's a choice. You're giving away your peace.
That's right. You are giving away your peace.
And so why are you trying to control things? Because you have trust issue.
And that's a hard piece to actually hear. because even for someone like myself who is very much a control freak, um,
She was.
I you do have to really have this reflection point every day to make sure that you're not trying to control that, which is why I turned to him several times throughout the day because
And you
I
should.
don't want to, I want to have my patience and that self-control, and I want to have that peace and joy in the end. So, control is a really huge thing for many people, and I hope you're hearing this tonight because there's many of you out here, and I know this is resonating. Take the checklist that we've given you tonight, everything that we have spoken upon, and just sit back and reflect. And I guarantee you'll find your gap. But I want to encourage you to get a mentor. If you don't have a mentor, get a mentor. You need a mentor, reach out to us. We know people that we can get you in front of.
It's very interesting to observe. I mean, not really. Well, I'll say it this way. Right? A lot of people that are like 5 or 6 figure earners, they don't want, they're in the mindset of what the world has taught them. And this is how business works. And this is mindset and things like that. But if you look at the millionaires, they all have a mentor and they'll listen and they will execute what their mentor tells them to do. But in the 5 to 6 figure earners, they don't want to listen. They want to do it their way or the way they think they know how to do it. So there's what I'm saying is if you want to make jump that gap and become more, you're going to have to change your mind and how you're operating in your belief system and your trust systems
You need
in
to
order to
open your
get,
mind.
well, don't open it so
Open.
far. Don't open it so far your brains fall out.
True.
But
I'm just saying,
yeah,
open your mind.
but you need to have a consideration is my belief system and my trust getting me to where I want? And if it's not, then this question is, well, what do I believe? And is it helping me or not? See, let that sink in for a second. What I believe is who I am. And who I am is somebody I like or I don't like, or I want something different or something better in my life. Those are serious questions because once you start asking those questions, this becomes the beginning of awareness.
Well, the
When
bottom
we
line
become,
is you want to make $1 million. Do you show up like $1 million?
yeah, and you have
You
somebody to help
think
you
like a
get to that
million
million
dollar
dollars.
earner? Do you
Yeah.
walk, talk, eat, and breathe like $1 million earner? You have to have, I guarantee you, you talk with, $1 million earners, God's a part of their life. True individuals,
Yeah.
God is a part of their life.
Most of them, if it's going to last, there's
Exactly.
people that have millions, besides all that. But the fact is, am I where I want to be in my life? And we're talking about people too that's gone through their life, that's given all their time, built their careers,
Yeah.
and then something shifted later on. Kids went away, health problem, job went away, you're outdated, so you think. All those things that cause a massive shift in your life, but your belief system is still back here with
I
all.
promise you, we older ones, we're not outdated. We're in
No,
the
we're
perfect
actually in
spot
need.
at the perfect time of life. I promise you.
We're in much needed because the young really are looking for some guidance, and
Absolutely.
and you have expertise more than likely they'll never see unless you sit down and share it with them and
And
teach
I
them
want
some
to
things.
encourage that. I
Yeah,
want to encourage that here tonight. You
that's
have a
something that's
lot of
been
wisdom
missing.
to
That's a
share.
gap. That's a huge
That's a
gap.
huge gap, right? That's a huge
Yeah,
gap.
in fact, in Italy, there you'll go over there and you'll see an older gentleman sitting with a younger gentleman on a bench at a market. Now, when I was growing up, that was common. In my children's life, it became uncommon.
I only have one child that actually understands an older individual sitting with him because he just loves it. And that's my youngest one. He will sit with an older individual all day, any day. And I
And
think that's
that's
because
really
I worked
important.
in the geriatric field for so long. He just loves to listen to what their wisdom is.
See, that's mentorship. You just described it. It's transference of lived experience, who've earned the scars from it, that will help you get navigating over to where it is. And
Mm.
see, that's a big gap that
Huge.
has happened in our country. And because of there's separation and there's a drift, and more the drift that occurred, the more the gap. And because there's a gap, we don't communicate well, and we're all busy in our faces and our phones
Mm.
on it. And in fact, what's it just blows my mind is what two people sit to each other and how they communicate through the phone. You reach out and touch them, and say, "Hey, let's talk," but they're doing this. I can't, anyway. Sorry for me to grasp, but it doesn't seem right to me when you can actually have one-on-one conversation, eyeball to eyeball. There's more to us than technology. In fact, about 8 to 9%, I think somewhere between 7, 8, 9%, it's only verbal communication
And
out of
that's really
out of
sad because even
100%.
if you're not close, to actually have that one-on-one eyeball to eyeball, like William said, the phone still rings.
Are
It
you going to
still
set it down?
has. It still has the capability of ringing just like it did 50 years ago when I was a kid. So use the phone, to actually talk. Not things get so misinterpreted in a text
Right.
or
Well, it's because
a
the
message.
physiology, the energy, the physiology, all that's missing in that.
It
You can say
is.
it one way and somebody take it another way. It's just how they perceive it, and it's not the way you meant it.
Right.
But when you sit there and talk to people, it's like, I meant it this way. I can actually tell you, well, you look like you're reading that wrong. Let me explain what I meant by that.
Right.
Okay. So things like that get dropped, and that's the way you get it. That's a gap. All right. In fact, that causes more gaps than anything is communication.
Yeah, it does.
And and because of that, then you get stuck in your own mode, you get stuck in your own mind, and you're stuck in your own beliefs and the way you think. And again, I'm gonna keep going back to the thing is where you are in your life is the way you believe and the way you speak and what's in your heart. Do you
All
like that
right.
or not?
Well, I think we covered the gap tonight, but I know we're going to dive into this even deeper next week when we
Yeah,
have
this is a primer. You're right. This is a primer because we got a special guest that's coming.
we do. We have a special guest next week, so make sure you're following us here and you're subscribed here at Mindful Nuggets, because we do have a special guest coming next week to dive into this even deeper. And I'm just going to say this, not that I'm taking anything away from the women, but men, you want to be here next week. You want to be
Mhm.
here next week. I promise you that. So if you feel the gap, that's not failure. That's
Nope,
awareness.
it
That's the
is.
beginning.
What is failure? Somebody describe failure. I don't like that word because it's kind of a
I don't see failure. I
yeah.
see
It's a
learning
word.
and
It's a
growth.
word that's a punishment word, like you fail.
Right. It is a
All right.
punishment.
Yeah, and
Absolutely. It's a
I don't
discipline.
see it that way. I see it that there were some errors, mistakes, misnavigation, miscommunications, and a lack of information, lack of guidance, and a lot of things that are not lined up in order to get where you want.
Exactly.
All right. Now you see that what doesn't work. Let's find one that does work. But why do we want to say failed? Now, failure is personally internalized by many people, and that's a belief that you need to shake, get rid of.
That's a program.
It is a program, it's a world program, and it does harm. So what I'm saying is, again, who you are, who you believe, what you speak, all those things matter in order for you to get to where you want to close the gap, get to the other side. And until
Right.
those change, you'll never get across the gap. And you got to be willing to open up and be flexible, different point of view,
Yeah.
open the mind.
Open that
I'll tell you
mind.
what,
Exactly.
if the difference is who's curious and who wants to control. The one that's curious is going to become aware. The one who wants to control is going to be closed off because
Absolutely.
control is squeezing off. You ever tried to hold water in your hand?
In a cup or out of the cup?
Okay, put water in your hand.
Sure,
Put
it
it in
just
your hand.
drips right on through.
Okay. Well, you're trying to control that,
You are trying to control that as
but are
much as
you
possible. You're trying
succeeding
to
at
hold
it?
on to
Are you
it.
succeeding at it?
No, absolutely
You
not.
may
It's
restrict the
continuing
flow
to
for a
absorb and
moment,
drip.
but it's going to come out of your hands. And it
Exactly.
was never meant to be in your hands anyway. It's meant to flow. So is life. It's meant to flow, not grasp hold of, squeeze to death, pinch it in half, or beat it to death through control. It doesn't work. I tried that. I nearly died from it.
I was gonna say that was the same here. I almost died just because I wasn't wanting to
Energy,
listen or pay attention.
yeah,
I was gonna be in control.
energy, same way. You're energy. You're created in His likeness and light and energy. Okay. Well, guess what? How does energy flow? It makes a connection, right? Well, if you keep breaking the connection, you don't have any flow in your life.
You won't. You'll continue to break those
You'll
continuously.
shut it to ground, and
You'll
you'll
shut
shut
it
yourself to
down.
ground,
Yep.
and or
And you'll stay in your
you'll cause
box.
distortion. You'll cause a lot of overheating issues, and all sorts of things that will go wrong because you forgot to turn the spigot on and let it flow.
Yep.
Just a little wisdom learned the hard
That
way.
was perfect. That was great. So again, the gap is not the problem. It's the invitation. And we invite you back next Monday night, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. on the East Coast for our special guest. Just subscribe so that you can get the details. They are forthcoming. So I can't wait to see him with us next week.
It
Like I
gets
said,
to
I'm
be
not taking
good.
anything away from the women, but men, you want to be here next Monday.
I'm surrounded by women, so it's nice to have a guy every once in a while to talk to.
It will be nice, won't it?
Yeah.
We've had several women on our podcast the past
I'm
few
not
weeks.
complaining. I'm not
But
complaining at all. Yeah,
they
I find it,
and again,
very nice.
if you're, if you're ready to be on the Mindful Nuggets podcast and you would like to be here with us, reach out to us, let us know. We may just have a spot for you.
Just mine. Would love to at least talk to you.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that was your nugget for tonight, and we hope you have a wonderful and blessed week. We know Monday will be coming very quickly, and we know we'll see you again. So hit that
Yeah,
subscribe button so that you
and
know
blink.
who's coming next week to be with us.
All right. So here's one more nugget: lose control, but not lose control in a bad way. Lose the control issue. Replace it with flow and trust. Learn how to do that and see what happens in your life.
There you go.
All right.
Have a
Peace
great
out.
night,
Love you.
everyone.
God
We'll see you
bless.
next week.